Welcome to The John Show with your hosts, John Doogie Clouser.
All right. What's going on, everyone? How are you? We are here on a new episode of the Juan Solo Show, episode 151 of this great thing that I call a show or a podcast or just a man in a room alone talking, figuring out who he is as an individual. Oh, divine. Gosh, did anyone hear that? Okay, we're good now. So, well, it is, what is it? January 16th at 7:12 on this beautiful day that we call Monday. Right now, I should be watching the Buccaneers. Actually, it hasn't started yet. It starts at 7:15. But the Cowboys and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are playing. It's Monday Night Football. It's actually technically wild card football. It is on Monday, so I guess it would be Monday Night Football as well. But you know, we're here. It's I don't know if you guys have watched any football this weekend. It was pretty intense. Jacksonville came back. Holy shit, was that crazy? That was so insane that they were down by 27 at one time, 21, and then they came back and won. But you know, just the Chargers doing Chargers things. Oh man, it's just, I remember when the Chargers used to beat the Chiefs all the time when they had LaDainian Tomlinson and was it Phillip Rivers and Antonio Gates? What wide receivers? Did they have any They really didn't have crazy wide receivers because Gates was a great tight end, and then LaDainian Tomlinson. Oh, and they had Neal. What was it? Was it Patrick Neal? Something Neal. He was Charger. He was their fullback. Was it Neal? Chargers fullback. Chargers fullback Neal. What was it? Lorenzo. Lorenzo Neal, 41. That motherfucker was just a little what? He was 5'11". Yeah, listen, he was 5'11", and he had to have weighed. What was his weight? Wait. He was 256 when he played. So 5'11", 256. So he's a little fucking meatball coming and running right at you. It was, but yeah, they had such an awesome team, and that was back when the Chiefs were just absolute horseshit. And they would just get bum-fucked by everybody in the division. Raiders would beat them. Broncos would beat them. Chargers would beat them. And the Broncos, John Elway, Terrell Davis, Ed O'Neill, Shannon Sharp, and oh god, what else? They had someone else. Was it Ed O'Neill? No, Ed McCaffrey. That was Ed McCaffrey, not Ed O'Neill. What did I say? Ed McNeil or something like that? No. It was Ed McCaffrey. That's was it Christian McCaffrey's dad, the running back who is now with the what team does he play for now? He played for the Carolina Panthers, and then he got traded to the 49ers. Yeah. So, if you can't tell, I've been talking a lot. I had a conversation with my mom and I, you think I'm talking about football. My mom can just bounce around from team to team and talk about the coach, players, things that happen. It's hilarious. Because growing up, I'd be eating my breakfast, and my mom she'd have the playbook, the football playbook, and then she would tell a play, and I would have to tell her what every position did. She's like, this is the best way you're going to learn. I'm like, all right. I'm like, okay. And then the next morning, we would do defense, and we would just switch back and forth. And then Fridays, which were game days, she would do like a quick, rapid 5 minutes thing of this. And she's like, what have you been practicing a lot of this week? And I mean, we were doing this, and so we'd start circling these plays. I'm like, I think they're going to probably do a lot of this and a lot of this. And so then she would quiz me on those things. And I don't know. It was so funny. If I cared more about that, I probably would have got a little bit better grades, but I didn't give a shit about school. I only cared about football. And then like I didn't get in trouble all throughout football season. And then once football season was over, I was in the principal's office a lot because the only thing I cared about was football. So yeah, I'm like once I littered as a freshman, I'm like, yeah, humble brag. Actually, no, most people don't do that. But yeah, I littered as a freshman on varsity football. So you can fuck off because it was hard as shit. It's one of the hardest things I ever did. And then I did it. And I was like, fuck yeah. I remember when I came home that night because it was like that whole summer. It was midway. It was maybe day 2 of practice my 8th grade year of football. And I used to just fuck around all the time. Like I would fuck around. And then as soon as like it got time to play, I was like, all right, let's time to play. And I played at that time linebacker. And I was just like, this is so much fun. I'm gonna get to hit the shit out of this fucking kid. This is gonna be so much fun. And I would hit him. And I remember even during games, it was so much fun. I'd wake up the next morning, I could barely put my pants on and put a shirt on because my body was so sore because I was always involved in every tackle. It was so much fun. These are all humble brags. But the coach pulled me aside and he was like, hey, Klauser, like, you're really talented. It's just that you're such a dumbass. Like, you have to, like, I need you. Like, you could start as a freshman. So I need you to help me control all these other players so then we can have a team, a really good team. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. I'm like, wow, this guy thinks I can learn as a freshman. So that's all it became. I was like, every waking moment was like, oh, I could play varsity football as a freshman. I could play varsity football as a freshman. And I'm like, oh. And then as soon as I realized that, as soon as the gym opened up for being able to work out for football, like the beginning of football, I was there every morning I was there at 7 a.m. every morning. I would clock in, I'd sign on my board, I'd take my sheet, do my list, and then I'd eventually just do my gradual build up of weight. And I was there every day. Because the person you check in was with the head coach, because the head coach would just basically just read the paper, make plays, drink coffee. Let alone do we know that the coffee had alcohol in it. He was an alcoholic. It was okay. He got fired for it, but we won several state championships, and we won districts consecutively, like 8 years in a row. I was district champion every 4 years of my high school career. And again, humble brag, I came from a really good football program, won a state championship, have a state ring from it. It's cool. It's awesome. It's one of the greatest accomplishments I ever did as a human being in my life. Not because it's like, oh, are you living back on your life? No, because the things that you had to learn. I learned how to be a man that year playing football. I'm looking right at you in the fucking eye. I learned hard. I had a broken hand. I tore my meniscus. I did a slight tear on my meniscus and only missed 2 games. Put a brace on. Hated the brace because I felt like people kept targeting my leg because of that. And so then I took it off and then I just played with a bum knee the rest of the season. And I didn't give a fuck. I didn't care because I was starting and I was playing football and we were about to win a state championship. God damn it. But yeah, it all was about football. And then as soon as football season was over, I was like, all right, well, I don't give a fuck about anything. And I just played basketball. Basketball was cool. Basketball was only just to keep me in shape for football, which I don't know. I played a lot more basketball growing up than I did anything. I played so much AAU basketball. It was literally, I would say, 9 months of basketball, 3 months of football, 3.5, almost 4 for state and stuff. But because then at that point, I would only get like 2 days worth of rest. Because if you won state in football, then as soon as like the first game in basketball starts, I think the week like 2 weeks after. So you have like a dead week, and then that following week, that's when the basketball season starts. And so that's what's so great when your school is really good at sports. There was none of that just practice in between for sports. It was like play the sport, be really good, get all the way to the playoffs, lose like in like the semifinals twice, and won the state championship once, lost in the sectionals my freshman year. And so woof. And yeah, that was a bad season for us. Like even like my senior year, we were 8-2, and we lost in the semifinals to go to state. We lost to the game to go to state, which is a fucking killer. That almost hurt more than like when I went to basketball, because in basketball we went to state every year. I'm almost done with all the sports talk and going back down history lane, but who cares? It's fucking a podcast. I have to kill time. But in basketball we went to state every year, and we came in fourth place every year because it's like the Final Four tournament, and so you have the Final Four best teams in the state of Missouri go and play, and yeah, and then that was crazy. Because my school has like the most consecutive appearances and the most losses. It's crazy. School's crazy. My school is with sport now. They are all dog shit because like everyone's super small. It almost feels like we were all taking steroids, but we weren't. We were just really good at sports. Well, that was sports talk, guys. So, but right now is the game that just started. Was it has it started yet? Yep, it started. It's like 13:35. Dallas has the ball. I think Dallas will win by 3, but I would love to see Tom Brady win again. So, it is what it is. But yeah, so hope you guys are doing. Wow, I just totally, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I totally blacked out. I'm like, yeah, am I even doing a podcast? Oh, because I was like, that's something I would say just out loud to myself, just like, well, I think Dallas will. I think Dallas is gonna win by 3, but I'd really like to see Tom Brady win. And then I'll just like I'll take a drink of beer and I'll just like go into thought, and I just for that brief moment I was like, oh, I'm not even doing a podcast. Holy shit. What the fuck? What the hell's going on? Oh, wait, hold on. I need to go back to this. But yeah, I've never understood the hatred towards Tom Brady. Like, just because he's good, and then like they're like, well, he cheats. It's like, well, technically every sports team cheats. So this is all alleged, of course. Like, so I worked for a company that worked for a baseball team. And what we were doing, we were installing cameras up into certain balconies, and this may or may not be during a time when they were going through a what you call a going to the World Series thing, like a World Series run. And yeah, we were installing cameras, like really nice high-end cameras up, so you can like see their hands, so you can see like the pitcher, you can see like their hands, so like when they do the little stuff for the ball. And we were doing it because there were players that were giving off tells. And that's what we were told. That's what we were doing. But I'm pretty sure we were doing was installing cameras so we could see other players' pitches or like pitchers' hands during the thing. And so this was Major League Baseball. Allegedly. May or may not be. Who knows? But yeah, that's so like every team cheats. Every team cheats. To think that like these NFL players aren't on something, on some sort of steroid, is an absurd thing to think too. I'm not saying like they're all on like just straight up like growth hormones or anything. No, they probably are. Like they're on some sort of test. I guarantee it. There's something, dude. They take things. They take medicines before games to numb and to get high, legal high enough that's within the parameters of the thing to then play. Like it's normal. Like it's normal. Like I used to take, this is insane. You guys want to hear something crazy? So when I played football, I would take these things called dragon tears, and it would go in your eye and it gave you energy. That, and then I would take like those like sticks, the smelling salts, and sniff them all the time, like right for a kickoff. Because I'm not gonna lie to you, probably the most scariest thing for me was always the kickoff, because you're just running down the field. I was never scared on kickoff return. It was always kickoff, because it's like I was running. Because one time I'm not even gonna tell you guys story, because we need to move on to something else. But yeah, I was running down, and then I just got blindsided. But yeah, it's just that was more of an insane thing than anything else. But Yeah, I would like to see Tom Brady win, but I don't know. They probably will because Dallas fucking always fucks up somehow. So what do I have to talk about? Should we at this point? Should we do? Oh, you know what? The intro song or the intro video doesn't have the music, so I guess we could just do the video and then that's it. I guess it works well because it is a sports related video. So I guess here we go. So it's a wrestling video, right? For the people who are just like, I don't know if you're just listening or you just put it, I don't know, me, like I will put something on YouTube and then I will just push it away. I'll put another screen on, like my lower screen, and I'll just put it in my pocket and I'll just walk on. And like, if I don't really give a shit, like, because I feel like you should be able to talk, it's audio. And even when so this is probably weird. I can watch a movie and just listen to the audio because you should be able to tell what the story is. The story should be going along enough for you to understand it without video, I think. Like, don't get me wrong, like you're going to miss a lot. You're missing out on a lot because it's a video audio art. But yeah. That's the thing. That's what it is. That's a thing. But yeah, like wrestling. I used to be really into it as a kid. Used to watch it all the time. Raw's War, that was the thing. Mine, what I watched back in that's called the Attitude Era, wasn't it? With Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, The Big Show, I said Stone Cold Steve Austin. I was around when the peak of WCW and WWF, before WWF switched to WWE, it was so funny because this is how it worked. WCW would come on at 7 and last till 10, and Raw is like WWF would come at Raw's War. This is on Mondays. That would be on at 8. And I loved to watch wrestling, and I never liked the storyline that much. It was so funny because back then you thought that shit was real. It was so funny. You thought it was so real. And then when you find out, like, it's still like wrestling's hard. It's sports meets drama. It's what wrestling is. They are actually wrestling, but there's storyline that is involved with it. And that's what's the interest part of it. And, so I never really liked the WCW storylines that much. Like, I like some guys because that's when, like, the Big Show, that was before, I think he was in NWO, and then MWO were black and white, and then there was NWO, the red and black, the Wolf Gang, and then that had Sting. I would say Sting was one of my favorite wrestlers from WCW. My favorite wrestler was Stone Cold Steve Austin. The Rock was okay. I didn't follow The Rock when he was or I guess he was a good guy, because he was someone else before he was The Rock. Dwayne Johnson. He was he was like a Hawaiian guy because his dad was this like likable Hawaiian wrestler, and so I think he went down that road. And then The Rock was more of a anti-hero, and he was, I guess, originally was supposed to be a heel. And then he became good enough, and that's usually what happens is as a heel, you become good enough and you win enough, and then people start liking you because you win all the time. And there's usually a moment in the storyline where you betray or you help out someone, and that shows you that you're actually a good guy. And then that's supposed to be the moment in the story that, oh, he's actually a good guy. He's just been playing a bad guy because he's been misunderstood this whole time. Something like that, you know? But like, I never liked WCW. I liked their belt more, their championship belt, because it was way bigger than what the WWF had. But I would watch that for an hour. The WCW. It's so hard for me to remember these fucking initials. And then I would switch over, and it was so funny because WCW was live versus WWF was already pre-taped, which was because it was a cycle. It was like they were doing a tour, and their tour was all based around like film it. Then by the time you're watching it, they're already recording something new. And so if you watch WCW, they would tell you the winnings or the results of some matches because it was already pre-taped. Or maybe it was like taped on a delay. Maybe that's what it was. It was taped on a delay, so they were able to know the delay. It was something like that, and there was a huge controversy with that because WWF was like, "What the fuck you doing, dude?" And then the rest is history. WCW got bought out by WWF. Then people started coming over, like Steve Nash, Big Sexy. Who else? There were like, what was his name? Sting. Sting came over, but then Sting, like, I got Sting on the very end of his career because Sting was pretty much done when I was like really in the peak of watching it all the time. But yeah. A lot of sports talk this week, guys, and yeah, it was fun. It was such a great time. It was a good time in my life. Then you had like Trish Stratus, Sable, Jackie Jackson. Was it Jackie something? Or no, because it was a black girl. What was it? Was it Jackie? Was that her name? Or was it like I want to say it was like Jaqu something, Jaquila, and I feel like that's so fucking racist. It's like, I'm not trying to be racist, but it's like maybe it was something like that. But then I'm like, no, I thought she had a white girl name. Anyway, but yeah, wrestling was fun. Went to only one time. And it was so funny. Like, much I didn't like it. The only reason why I was able to go to it was because a friend of mine had tickets, and they had an extra ticket, and they're like, well. Would you and your son like to go see this wrestling? But it was WCW. I got to see Goldberg wrestle against the Beast from the East. I can't remember his name. Beast from the East. Wrestling. Beast from the East wrestling. Beast from the East wrestling. WCW. That's why I should put WCW. WCW. What was his name? I don't know. God. WCW Beast from the East wrestler. Let's see here. I remember he had like he had like tattoos on his head. What was his name? Bam Bam Bigelow. That's what it was. Bam Bam Bigelow. Yeah, because it was like at that time, Bam Bam had just came on to this. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm remembering all this. But he had just came on. Maybe he had been like really hot for I would say about a year. And I only knew him a little bit because he was just coming through and just wrecking things. And the big match was because at this time Goldberg was still undefeated, and he was at WCW, and everyone knew about Goldberg because he was undefeated. And he would what would happen is he would spear you, and then he would do a spine splash. Where like you'd pick him up and then you fluff him over, like you kind of roll over and you fall right on him and it pins him. And in retrospect, it would probably hurt you more doing the move, trying to do it to someone versus it actually hurting them. But it is what it is. It was wrestling, but yeah, Bam Bam Bigelow and him were wrestling, and it was supposed to be a big match because Bam Bam had been like, oh, if there's anybody who's going to be able to beat Goldberg, it was going to be Bam Bam Bigelow. I can't remember. I remember this because he had the top of his head tattooed. He had a bald head, and he had it tattooed. It was one of the most craziest things in the world. Yeah, Bam Bam Bigelow. Bam Bam Bigelow. Really oh my God, that's bringing back memories. But Bam Bam got beat in... he got beat in I wouldn't say 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes. It was such a quick match. he just put himself into a situation where he got speared, and then I'm like, oh no, it's gonna end. And then but what was so cool is like I did get to see one of the like wins that Goldberg had, because Goldberg had like over like 100 wins, I think. Let's see, what was Goldberg winning win streak? Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, he was 173-0. It was insane. Multi world champion Kevin Nash recently commented on Goldberg's historic undefeated streak with WCW. Goldberg made his WCW debut in September of 1997 on Nitro Monday Nitro. They had the Nitro Girls, remember? Yeah, Nitro Girls, bitch. And quickly beating Hugh Morris. In under 3 minutes, he became a phenom and WCW's biggest ever homegrown star. His undefeated streak ended at 173-0. That's insane. When did it end? The streak finally came to an end in 1998 when Goldberg lost to Steve Nash at Crack 1999 spoke on his podcast. Steve Nash talked about the match and how he's still not entirely certain why he was chosen to pick up such a significant victory. Well, I don't know. That's interesting. So Steve Nash was the one who ended Goldberg's winning streak, which was insane. And then, but I think that was the reason why, was because the storyline was over. Like, what was so crazy was the fact that, that part of it scripted. So like that was going in, they knew they were going to have him win a bunch of matches in a row. Granted, I doubt they thought that he was going to win 173, which is a absurd amount of matches to win. But think about the buildup. And that was back when there was no internet. It was just, magazines, VHS, DVDs were starting to become a thing. Yeah. God damn it. Oh, and about that police cop girl. Holy shit. Who knew that? Who saw that? I saw it coming. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Wow. Still really don't know much about it. I'm like, so she got banged by a bunch of dudes on duty? And I assume that's probably not the most kosher thing to do. But why is it such a... Why do I know about this now? This feels like this could have been kept in house. Does anyone else feel like that could have been kept in house? And none of us could. We could all have gone the rest of our day without knowing this very average looking white girl who got just hollowed out by all these fucking dudes. And then I guess her husband is also a cop. And then I don't know. I've just learned all this through comments. So let's be real. You don't learn much. You just kind of like get bits and pieces. And the bits and pieces you get are probably incredibly wrong. So she got banged out by a bunch of dudes. Then her husband knew and set him up, and he was a cop too. I don't know, but I feel like all this could have been kept in house. I didn't need to know about it. You didn't need to know about it. I posted a meme that said, thanks for your cervix, and I thought it was just a play on words of thanks for your service. But let alone did I, and it was a picture of that girl, and I was like, oh, it was a cop. I had no idea this connected to it. Then when you find out that she got hollowed out, you're like, oh, that meme actually had a lot more weight to it, which I didn't even realize. Well, anyway, that's the end of the podcast. I have like 23 seconds left. Wash your hands, be safe, look both ways, and I will see you guys on the next episode. Hopefully the next episode I will have a back area because I have all the stuff now, and all I gotta do is now make it my area. I gotta make this studio into a home. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys later. All right, bye.